Well, we appreciate you for staying with us. Now we're back on the show, and we have joining us Dr. Gani Oluwashola, who is Managing Partner, KJB Professional Services. Good to have you join us this morning.
Thank you for having me. Trust you're good.
Yes,
and hope you're not going to Rivers anytime soon.
Well, we just might be going there. We just might be going there. So we can, have a good understanding of the things playing out. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Well, let's get on with your line of...
All right. Before that quick break, I asked Mr. Lawale Kundayo. He was asking what did the court say about Nnamdi Kanu's case. And then I told you that on the 13th of October 2022, Court of Appeal in Abuja said that Nnamdi Kanu should be released. In fact, they ordered that he should be released, and also they faulted the way the federal government did the rendition, pulling back the way they sent him back from Kenya. They said it is against his right. It was forcibly, sent back to Nigeria. So you asked me what did the court say about that, and I had to make you understand that this is what the Court of Appeal in Abuja said.
Yes.
Now, let's take it back again. Since you have Dr. Gani now with us in the studio, do you think that what Mr. Clark is suggesting Edwin, thank you very much. Chief Edwin Clark is suggesting that the federal government and lawyers or counsel of Nnamdi Kanu should do you think it's going to make any headway going for non-prosequi?
Brilliantly. That I will agree with Edwin Clark, because we also have precedents in this scenario. We know Sunday will happen, and this man from the north also it happened. And all this. So we already have precedent in the law environment. Precedent speaks well, right? We work with like what is happening in Rivers State when it was being upturned. We spoke and say there are precedents. Abegude versus Oladoja and every other thing, and these are things that works. And they always is saying that what is good for the geese is good for the ganders, right? So if we can have some people giving a waiver and allow them to go after some level of interaction and their court. So what's happening to him? We should allow him. Even the court also gave a rule and said that let there be reconciliation between Nnamdi Kanu and the government, because it should be thrown away. There's no case there. Even in line with our extant laws, right? In line with our constitution, you cannot hold someone against for a longer time. Either you sentence him and he's serving his jail time, or not just being back and forth. It's not done anywhere.
So why do you think the federal government should keep him there in DSS detention till now?
That is why we say that. You see, the federal government, they are acting against the constitution, against the law. And when we say that the judiciary is independent, right? And also do not forget that he that pays the pipes, they takes the tunes, right? It's same executive that is increasing the salary of the judiciary to almost 64 million, and you are telling me that, I'm going to act against them. But in fairness, when we talk about in line with our constitution, we talk about fairness, we talk about equity, and we talk about justice.
Now, this way that the federal government have decided to toy handling this case of Nnamdi Kanu, do you think this will increase the agitation from the southeasterners?
Or reduce it?
Apparently, it's going to reduce it, apparently. But do not also forget, it's the same thing that plays in Borno State. The Boko Haram are just like a small set before that are working for the specific politician for them to achieve their aim. But when they now tasted the fund, they tasted the power, they wield the sword, so they become too much. They become too much overwhelmed,
hungry for more power.
And they don't want to withdraw again.
So don't you just think that is about the reason why the federal government at this point is not thinking of releasing Nnamdi Kanu, because they have already prescribed their pop group as a terrorist group? Don't you think it's another reason why they're holding him back?
They're into, when they're between the devil and the deep blue sea, right? You go for the lesser one. Either you hold him, it will not still stop the agitation. But let's look at, there's what we call we call it cost-benefit analysis. Once I reduce this thing, what is from ratio 1 to 10? Am I going to achieve at least 5% reduction? 5 out of 10. So if I achieve 5 out of 10, how do I tackle the remaining 5? Do you get it? Which makes a lot of sense. Than for me to hold this one and they keep. Also know that the more they were stronger, they also have followers. There's this guy in outside the country.
Samuel Ekpa,
and they're still saying that, oh, release this guy. He's foiling it. He's sponsoring them. He's releasing cash to them, right? But if Nnamdi Kanu is released, it would have, even the government will be making to sign agreement. This is why we are releasing you. Ensure you curtail this. It's a win-win approach, right?
Dr. Ganiyu, IPOB, or rather Biafra, have been on the lips of Nigerians since 1967.
Right.
It is more like an ideology now. And from the look of things, it is not Nnamdi Kanu case. When Mr. Francis Obibo said, I think on the 30th of May, there about 1967, that Biafra is what it should be called, every Southeasterner have been saying that word. You know, do you think that even when he signed that agreement, just like what you're saying now, do you think it's going to deter the people from talking about Biafra?
It won't deter them. But he mentioned what? The first one, he said that, release me, I'm going to cop this. The other time, he also said that, oh, I don't have hands in it. He was speaking from two sides. Perhaps the trauma he was passing through, he was saying, release me, I'm going to cop this. So in as much he has it, and he also has some people, there's no how bad a community is. You still have some people you listen to. If they're agitating because of him being held captive against his will, and let us release him let's test the water.
Let's still stay with security. I'm going to come to you, Mr. Lawal. Is the Nigerian army or the Nigerian military not strong enough to curb every level of insecurity in the East? That we have to wait to the release of Nnamdi Kanu to curb security? Is the military that less in power?
See, a movement, you get it? Why they call it movement? When you have a movement, why they call it movement is that you have sympathizers, you have followers, you have people you don't know, they believe in you, they want to die for that ideology that you carry. So when you say one or two things, you get it. Without knowing them, they listen, they are already acting. It happens like that. This is this type of man. Nnamdi Kanu has become that type of man in which people you doesn't even know, you get, they have keyed into that idea, the movement, they have made it into ideology. Even if Nnamdi Kanu is dead today, that will not kill the movement. It will only make it, stronger.
Now, the question I have for the both of you is, what then would quail the agitation in the Southeast, especially now that we've seen cases where soldiers are being killed at different times. Different times we've had, regardless of the fact that Nnamdi Kanu has dissociated himself from some of these killings, but agitation for secessionism, will his release truly curb it? That's a question. And if his release will, how much of it will it be curbed? How much of it will be curbed? We also do know that we're talking about marginalization. The people are agitating because they feel marginalized. Regardless of whether he's released or not, should we look at tinkering with the Constitution and consider restructuring in such a way that people will feel less reason to ask to be separated from the entity called Nigeria?
Okay, that's a brilliant question. You see, when we look at it in the ratio 1 to 10, right? There's what we call sympathizer,
okay,
right? Even in being held there, some people say, even for that, I'm going to join this. Naturally. It's just like what is happening in Rivers State. Some people naturally fall for sympathizing with Fubara because of what they might not like Fubara, but they just want to say that we want to do this thing.
We've had enough of this, and so we want to, yes.
Do you get it? So those are sympathizers, right? And that way, look at what happened to Trump. The day they gave a judgment, a lot of people just say, okay, I'm going to support I'm going to support him. That's natural. Sympathizers are there. Right. So once it's released today, and also one wise man says that not taking risk is risky. right? So don't be afraid of testing the water. Let's even see what is going to happen, right? We've held him since when? Let's release him and see what the agitation is going to. Is this going to die? Yes, we might not achieve 100%, but I'm sure we will achieve a 40-50% reduction due to some people that have gone haywire because of it. But at least it's going to, and when we talk about security, do not forget that they are human like me and you. It's the uniform that makes the difference. And in a corporate palace, collusion is dangerous. You see, collusion means that when segregation of duty is being colluded, you have to sign the check and to give the fund. If both of us collude together, I just said I'm releasing the fund and you just sign and nobody knows what is happening. So at that point in time, it's a local government palace, an environmental thing, right? The soldiers, they are unaware. Most of them are Hausas. And you're saying in my dialect, say that the night that does not fall in your presence, that does not set in your presence.
Say to you, right? I think it's better that way.
He said, right? It's difficult to tread in. You in an environment you've not been before, and suddenly the night comes. You will not know how to maneuver through those ways. They don't get. These are soldiers. They don't know the ghettos. They don't know so these people knows where to hide. So there's no how they could curb them. So but when these things come, that's why they talk about local vigilante. Having an handshake with these military parastatals, they will be able to help them to fish them out and say that this is how you will be able to track these guys, right? When you see even those the things that they uncovered about the pipeline, it's because of the information they have. If they don't have the information, there's no how they can uncover it. So there's a way, there's a good handshake. If these guys release, I know very well, we might not achieve 100% reduction of everything, but I know that there will be some significantly because they are sympathizers, they are followers that belongs to him, right? You know, if it does, the sympathizers are they release you now. Let's stop all this.
Okay, Ekwinoyo now, your view as well.
Thank you very much.
As you also respond to that question asked earlier, consider the fact that a school of thought have it that Simon Ekpa is being sponsored by some individuals in government to ensure that insecurity persists in the southeast so as to keep them marginalized. You can add that to your question, your answer.
This agitation has been going on even before independence. You remember Boro, you get it, agitating in that south that they were being marginalized, and then he was caught and then in prison, later released before the Civil War. Now, what I want to say is this, that the government actually goofed. They made a big mistake by keeping Nnamdi Kanu. You get, because if you want to make somebody...
the Buhari administration.
Yes, if you want to make somebody popular, you get it. You can, if you keep that person, you arrest that person, you get sympathizers. You get, people get to know that person. Who is this person? Why did they arrest him? You get, but if you leave that person, just try to, cut all the wings.
So would you say that?
It's just, it would just be just like an ordinary person. I'm coming.
Go ahead.
So the government moved by that. When they arrested him from Kenya, Kenya, they shouldn't have made it this long. You get it? Even if you release him, that is the work of DSS. You get, to monitor him, take care of those branches, connections he has. You get it? Truncate those connections or block them, and then you'll be able to contain him. But the government kept him in prison and gave him opportunity, you get it, to have a big movement. This movement has gone beyond Nigeria. It's international.
How about the other one? The issue of...
How do you curb this? How do you solve this thing? This thing Kanu is agitating for is the thing that many areas in Nigeria are agitating. We have it in... you remember the Niger Delta issue. You remember the Yorubas, the Middle Belt, even the terrorists, these Boko Haram people and the bandits. Some of them are agitating for their own state, their own... You get it? So this thing is not about Nnamdi Kanu only. It's something that has cut across. It's something in which we, need to sit down
and
find a national solution to it. It's something that is a national problem. It's not Igbo problem.
Don't you think that
the Constitution,
as a result of this discontinuing of the trial, if the government should agree, it's going to propel the other separatist group and movement to come up even stronger? Don't you think it's going to have that consequence?
I said something earlier on that even if Nnamdi Kanu died today, you get it, that movement
somebody else will
be stronger.
You haven't responded to the question of the allegation of government having a hand in what is going on in the southeast, sponsoring it from the back door.
See, this one is just an allegation. It has no statistics.
As an analyst, you don't see the possibility of it playing out. Seeing that Simon Ekpa is still running his mouth and running free, basically. Couldn't he have been brought back the way Nnamdi Kanu was brought back to answer for the things that he has said, the incitements that he has made?
Do you remember when Goodluck Jonathan won the presidential election? Before the former president made a pronouncement. Do you remember that?
Yes, I do.
That I will make his government ungovernable. So naturally, what do you think that is? According to the law. Please. Is that not
incitement?
Yes.
Is that what you're saying it is?
Yes.
Okay.
Because you said you came up, you are a national figure.
Are you saying it's okay for people to incite?
No, I'm not saying it's okay. You get it? I'm not saying it's okay. What I'm saying that just people will look at others. Like he said, they will look at the way you treat others. Yeah, and they will look at the way you treat their own. And they will see that you are not being fair to them. You get it? And that will create, you aggravate them more. You get what I'm saying? They'll get sympathies across. They'll get sympathy from some people in government. They may be assisting them underground. We don't know. Do you remember that time that they said that some people were sponsoring Boko Haram and bandits? And they said that this former Attorney General should name them. America even came up with some names. You get what I'm saying? And they were never brought into, they were never named. So these other people that you put their own in custody will be telling others. You get that is the movement. That's one of the reasons they'll be using
as we make to wrap this up
to aggravate this thing.
As we make to wrap this up, let me throw a question to Doctor here. If that be the case, if certain individuals in government has a hand in the unrest in the southeast for whatever reason, do you think they would want to consider a political approach to this, knowing that it may end whatever agitation that is going on there?
You see, for me, I'm the president, right? If some certain individual have an affiliation, right, in this, you see, it's rather for you to make my country ungovernable because it's affecting investors from coming in. It's affecting the economic situation of the country. Even the Southwest, right? They're one of the economic brow of Nigeria. It's also nosediving. As we speak, between some few months now, at least 5 multinationals has left Nigeria. Another one is living now in Ogun State. They call it Artis. They're into steel, an Indian company that they invested around 2017. Talking about the environment that is not conducive for business. Right. And so this organization, that construction company doing steel, the minimum staff they have are over 5,000.
So that's like over 5,000 people to be thrown out of.
No. That's the wrong statistics. For every person employed has a 4 dependent on them. Then you now say 5,000 times 4. So 20,000 people minimally are being thrown away. All right. So this it doesn't. So if I come up and I don't have political, I like the statement of Obaseki. He said I cannot be a governor and not be a governor. Right. You cannot be there and topple my governor and topple my government without me having impact because it's my name. You see, we have statistics. There's no our people. I make an instance. Look at Dubai here. When the prince came into board, right, and he discovered that the company is into in a disarray. They don't have enough fund to be able to fund governance. And he knows that one of these princes, they are the one that we are giving contract and never executed it. And he got a very big, good hotel, the best hotel in Dubai. And he lodged all of them there. And he said, go with your wife. And he gave them a first suit. And he told them that everything you want to eat, make it available for them. They want to go to gym, they want to make it the best. The only thing is that they are going nowhere. They can't leave the hotel. And he made one. He said, you were given, I'm assuming that you are giving 10 billion contracts, $10 billion, and you only use $2 billion there. Where's 8 billion? And no, I don't have. So once they are there, they just discovered that A has already released $5 billion to the government. And he told B, the wife told B, said, what are you still, are you sure he has released? A, have you released? What are you still waiting for? Let me also release $3 billion. So within a space of 1 month, I guess,
was able to recover a lot
over $50 billion. Right? That is it. Did they punish them? No. Did they jail them? But the typical rich man does not want to go out.
If you want to look at that in comparison to what happened in Ghana during the Rawlings era, it's a bit different because, blacks were probably strong-headed.
But there's no how strong-headed is. You cannot hold a typical businessman in a place for 1 month. Doing what? Rolling, coming up. Because naturally, I need to be in US today, UK tomorrow, be in Abuja. Okay. You know, the joy of moving around is what we call prison. Prison of the mind. You can't have free movement. Right? And before you know it, he still maintained the relationship and he got over $50 billion.
So let's bring it back to the conversation before we lose track.
So to the conversation now is that when you know that if actually there are people that are inciting, call them to order. These are the thing. This is what we are going to. We know you. This is what is happening. We know what is happening behind doors.
So basically, the out-of-court settlement will be beyond Nnamdi Kanu now.
Right. That is.
It will also involve some sort of negotiation.
Definitely.
Of peace. In the
like someone says that it's someone inside the masquerade. Someone is in the masquerade clone. That's why the masquerade is making noise.
Do we see that happening anytime soon? Let us not forget that we have a 5-man panel set by the Supreme Court to bring a judgment as regards Nnamdi Kanu and the federal government since December 2023. Up until now, nothing has been done.
I think if there is a political will, it's going to happen. Our president, I think, is someone that has this way of sorting things out when he knows that it has a political impact, right?
Okay.
So I see it if the court actually ruled with what I read yesterday that they should go into negotiation, right? It's just like what happened between TUC and the government. There will always be a decision to be made, a round table. Let's have this, a win-win approach. You cannot just win at everything. At every negotiation or discussion table, there must also be a win-win. We must shift band so that we come to a conclusion and say, oh, okay, let's give it and let this thing. But if they allow it, that makes a lot of sense for Nigeria and also for the...
Unfortunately, we need you to give us your concluding thoughts on this one before we go to the next topic.
Same. One thing is this. Releasing Kanu will surely solve a lot of problems in that area. You know, because you can notice that since Igboho has been left alone, you see that there's a lot of calm down in the West.
Yeah, but we saw some other people come up. We saw...
no, see, there's what I'm saying is there's a calm down. If you notice, there's a calm down. Because as Kanu is now, so he has sympathizers. So if you release it back to them, with all the necessary apology and whatever you want to do.
Along with it.
Even if he's talking about agitation, he will want to divert that movement to a peaceful means. You get what I'm saying?
Okay.
He want to divert because people will listen to him. You get it? Because it's now an international figure.
All right, then we are absolutely out of time, unfortunately. So we need to get into another conversation now. Up next, we're looking at the leadership of the APC appealing to the federal government to urgently declare a state of emergency in Rivers State. And this is due to the escalating violence that has been recorded in the state. Let's have this conversation when we come back.
All right, welcome back. Now let's get to the second topic almost immediately. The All Progressive Congress APC in Rivers State has called for the federal government to declare a state of emergency due to the high rate of violence. The party's caretaker committee chairman, Chief Tony Okocha, made this demand during a press briefing in Port Harcourt. Okocha said that the Rivers State is currently in chaos, with rival factions engaged in a violent power struggle. The government and security agencies have been unable to effectively contain the situation, leading to a surge in violence and loss of lives. APC calls for immediate action to restore order and prevent further bloodshed. While also the Inspector General of Police, Kaide Egbetokun, strongly condemned the recent outbreak of violence in Rivers State as well. Of course, tragically, the tragedy resulted in the death of a police officer, Inspector David Mbada and Samuel Wige, a vigilante operative. The IGP has directed the Commissioner of Police in Rivers State to enhance security measures across the state. Well, stay with us in the studio are these two gentlemen, Dr. Gani Oluwashola and Mr. Lawal Ekudayo. I'm going to start with you, Doctor. At this point, what do you think would be the implication of the call for a state of emergency in Rivers State? Well, from a government or a party, I beg your pardon, that is not in power.
That's a good question, but I see it's just all around joke. It doesn't make sense. When Wike was there and there was a lot of agitation, there's no state of emergency. At Samfara, there's no state of emergency. Borno State, there's no, when even it becomes a war zone, there's no state. So why, when you talk about a selfish and self-centered leader, this is what we are going to see. When the old things was going and said, oh, these people, they camped to APC, all hands were saying, wow, it's a good one. And when they were saying that, oh, they are already APC people, make a law and every other. And the guy now said that, okay, I have played enough to the gallery. Let me reject my step. And you now say, oh, no, the people did not actually decamp, or they're actually still part of PDP. They are not APC. Who does that? Why will they say that there is anarchy or agitation or calling for... it doesn't, for me, it doesn't. But the thing I also come to think around, you see, we need to think very well. Are they fighting for resource control? Are they actually fighting for making life better for the citizen? No, right? Your tenure has expired. Take a bow and go, right? So if everybody comes in, then next day they pray, if we allow this to fly, the governor will come one day and say that my tenure has expired, I'm going nowhere. Right? Everybody, a natural leader in position, has the tendency of staying there forever. That is what is happening in most of this African country. And you see a typical president, they are singing national anthem and it's weeing on his body, right? And they quickly, what an appalling situation, right? So look at, the question is that are we fighting, once your tenure expire and you've done well, take a bow and go back to the poll. Let them elect you back. Not that you are fighting and see that becomes an hierarchical seat or position and said that I'm not going away until I die on this seat, right? And you look at it, I tend to look at some other neighboring countries, which are African countries. Look at what happened in Kenya. Kenya passed a bill and says that we are increasing the price of bread by 16%, a staple food, a normal food, by 16%. And the youth, the Gen Z, the millennial, the youth, they said, don't go there, government. Don't go there. We are still even can't afford this, and you are increasing it. And when they see what is happening, and they reverse, they turn back the bill. So what happened to Nigeria? Is it for the betterment of the citizen, right? And there's what we call salami tactics. Salami tactics says that if it's a salami tactics is in the law of tactics, and saying that, you know what he's doing is wrong. You will start at the lowest base. You do it a little, and once you're able to go away with it, and nobody talk, so you just do it again until now becomes overblown, and nobody does anything because you've been testing the water and you discover that you can go away with it. Then you keep on doing it until now get to a point that it cannot be copied again. And another, there's what we call, there's this professor of politics. He said, if you don't want to permit impunity in democracy, don't even tolerate it a bit.
All right, now in Rivers State, some of these chairmen hold on to what the Amewele State Assembly gave them as their law, when they say if there is a failure to hold an election for the local government chairman to be elected, that their tenure should be elongated.
But the question is that, is it in line with the law? Did you get it?
In the state assembly, they made it to be their law in the state.
But when you see that when it's being passed, is it actually in line with the global? We have the main constitution, we have the sub. So is it in line? Even having a caretaker, is it in line with the constitution? For a caretaker is meant to stay for a while. And then you have election. That's why we have, it's not the work of INEC. That's why we have state electoral commission. Right? State Independent Electoral Commission. These are the people to do it.
But the State Independent Electoral Commission receives funds from the governor.
Yeah. They receive funds from the governor. The same way INEC receive funds from the governor, from the president. So in as much they...
You know that their tenure is going to expire at a certain time, after 3 years. Shouldn't the governor have made funds available? I mean, all things being equal, not looking at the situation in that state now, shouldn't the governor have made funds available for elections to be held so that, we'll have a replacement instead of having caretaker committee?
But the question we should ask ourselves, that's why they call them state independent.
Okay. Independent
National Electoral Commission, which means that the question you should ask, have they INEC, have they provided this it's time for election? You will see at the national level, at the federal level, they say that this is the budget for election. Okay. And they'll submit it to the government, and we said, this money is too much. And have we ever seen a state independent National Electoral Commission submit such to the governor, and we now say that the governor throw it away? We've not heard. Even up till now, guess what? Some people does not know that it's not the work of INEC that conduct the local government election. They don't know that a state INEC exists.
All right, now to you, Mr. Lawal, do you also share the same line of thought in what is happening in Rivers State now, where APC members are begging or calling on the federal government to declare state of emergency in Rivers State? What do you make of that?
I think what is going on in Rivers State is that, I have to say this, I think the APC wants to take over that state. And they want to create a lot of issues in that area for them to be able to win that state. That's what I've been following. That's what my conclusion, since I've been following this Fubara case. You get it? That's what is going on. INEC, you get, that's why I keep saying that we don't have democracy.
Is it APC that wants to take over?
Yes.
Or a certain individual?
Not a certain individual.
A certain individual insisting on staying in power, even though he's been out of power.
That is not
because we know that the same rancor happened between Wike and his own predecessor, it happened. In fact, to the point where Wike sacked and installed caretaker committee chairman like it didn't matter.
I'm coming to that. I'm coming.
Please.
I'm trying to see the presidency. You get APC because they are in power now. They are using that power. You get it as to create problems.
Let's also establish the fact that Wike is still under the PDP.
I'm coming. See, when the 27th people, you get it, that lawmakers, you get it, resigned, automatically, INEC supposed to invoke the law. You get it, the part of the constitution that empowers it to carry out election immediately. They're supposed to have started the process of election. You get it?
To cover up those seats.
Yes, immediately, the moment you get. But up till now, it's like INEC, you get it, does not exist in that.
In other words, is INEC that independent?
That's the problem. That's what I'm telling you now.
But you get, because play out in
does the president tell the national INEC, the INEC itself, does the president tells the INEC when to conduct election? No. The moment your tenure is reaching 4 years, automatically INEC invoke the power. You get it? To carry out the election and they begin the process. You get submitting bills into the house, the fund, whatever. It's already in the budget that we are having election at so time. This is the money we need. This is what we are going to use. This and that. They are already doing it.
So
and they will go into it. Now, the same thing with the state. The moment the tenure is expiring, it's not the duty of the governor to be coming on board and be telling us whether there will be election, there will not be election, is electing caretaker, is not. No, it's the duty of the INEC of that state to automatically invoke his power to go ahead and do it. You get it? You are submitting bills, you are talking, you are already, processes, these are going to happen. The chairman, they already know that election is taking place in the next 3 months. You get it? In the next 6 months. Are you now going to go to the assembly and say that the assembly, go to the assembly and tell the assembly to increase your tenure?
So how
when
is that?
The INEC has already started this process of, the election taking place.
How is that now making what you said earlier? How is that panning out to be that APC wants to take over?
That is why that is why, because APC is not the only party in that state. You get it? It's not the only party, and it's telling us because some youths who did not carry weapons, who did not carry, they are coming on street to tell the government that these people, their tenure have expired. So why are you telling them to declare state of emergency? Are those people, are they fighting? The only people that shot guns were the AG. I'm coming. The only people that shot guns, that used weapons, like shooting into the air, were this ADC of the past chairman. No, that's what it means. That's what it
remember that according to what the IGP said, they lost security.
They're supposed to have even withdrawn those secrets from their bag the moment their tenure expires. So why do they still have those security details when their tenure have expired? They're supposed to automatically withdraw it from them now.
Whereby we have.
So why didn't IG withdraw it? We should ask him now.
Don't you think that past events in Rivers State actually deter or make it a bit difficult for the state INEC to think to the direction of holding an election? Remember that first one was the burning down of their state assembly. Complex. Then after that burning down of the assembly, there was a cross-carpeting event that happened in the house, which they don't even know the stand of those people who left PDP for APC. I'm talking about the state lawmakers now. Before the issue of the chairman in local government come to bear. Don't you think that these past events happen to be what led to state INEC not working in the direction?
What's the full meaning of INEC? Independent. You know the meaning of independent. I don't care what is going on. I am going to do my job. That's the meaning of independent.
I hope you also remember that even passing of the bill for the state running also was faulted. So where are they going to take their already paying down budgets to?
If your boss, you get it, send you to do something, you get it, 2 things are bound to happen. It's either you don't want to do it or you want to do something is preventing you. So if you want to do it and something is preventing you, you will speak out and say, we have already set our timetable. We have already submitted the bill to so. We have already submitted the fund to so budget to so. We are waiting for so. And everybody will now finger the person that is why is that governor has not? You get what I'm saying? But if you now sit down, they will say, no, you are lazy. You don't want to do your job.
Okay.
It's two things.
All right.
You get so all these things does not affect INEC at all.
Okay.
To carry out its function.
Okay. Let me come to Dr. Ganiyu now. When the president came into the matter to restore peace in Rivers State, there was an agreement signed. And part of the agreement part of the thing signed was the fact that caretaker committee will not be established to replace local government chairmen. But as it stands now, the governor seems to have gone against that agreement. Based on that, do you think the call for the president to come back into the matter is valid? Do you think the president will get himself involved again in the matter?
Apparently, ab initio, the president should not even have been involved in the matter. Even Fashola said so, because it's not he just came in like a father figure that, oh, let me delve in and just allow peace to reign because Wike is in my cabinet and you are in the state. Let me see how I can wave into action to actually subsist or to ensure that peace reigns.
Or is it also a way, a scramble for the soul of the state?
Definitely, he has been politically. No political person will not. Because during the election, he had to have an agreement with Wike. If not so, he wouldn't have won the place. Right, an average politician, if that is why a PDP is also wanted to win Lagos State, right? So everyone wants, because Rivers State is not just a state. Like, I don't want to mention other states. So it's not just a state, it's a state that you cannot ignore in the political hemisphere of Nigeria. So this is a place that you see a Labour Party, a PDP, and APC by all means to get the state. If actually the goods are getting going, and actually Wike play his card very well, Fubara will naturally cross carpet to APC. Natural, because in as much is in either here or there, right? Until he won the full state to APC, that's when he has done his KPI, right? But now, Fubara has gone other way. Those people that cross carpet, he brought his own people back because the things are not going. And you also remember that when all things were happening, and people say, oh, do the 23 people, do they still have the power? We said no. Because they're in law, give it or take. There are precedents. We talk about the story of Abegude versus Labour Party in Ondo State. The same cross-carpeted happened, and the law, the court gave a judgment and says that you cannot stand in that office unless there's a fresh election. Give or take it. It's in as much as in democracy, you cannot upturn it. What happened between Adeleke versus Ladoja, also in Oyo State? This is not even cross-carpeted. Some people gather in a place and they want to legislate. And the law also says that you can only legislate in the house. So the governor in his wisdom said that I move the house to the governor's house. Any legislation anywhere is null and void. You see, there's lacuna in the law, right? And that's what we call that. Once you are able to work around the lacuna, and yet you are still found that I'm still playing within the ambience of the law, nobody will hold you accountable for it. So since we have this, if you actually want this thing, let these guys, if actually, they are not coming back and say that they've not cross-carpeted, and will they now be responsible to the chairman of PDP do not forget that they've already stepped on toes. So are they going back to the poll? And if they also go back to the poll, pays the piper dictates. The governor is already there. He's the one there. Forget, leave it or take it. They will not come back to office. They don't get it. Because until we get, that's why the Sun says, the respectable Sun says that they do not get a very legal advice very well before they cross carpet. cross-carpeted. If actually they have a very good legal advice, then they wouldn't have done that, and they would have been playing their card very well and still remain in the party. Look at what happened during the time of Saraki and President Buhari. He didn't, but they were showing the man shaking. They don't get it, and yet he finished his tenure. Right, these are the things, because you don't have access to a very good legal advice, and you just believe that, oh, since the man is there, he has in his pocket the legal luminary in
the state.
In River State. He built houses for, and do not for you. See, someone once says that it's when you are on the seat, people will respect you. Once you leave the scene, and another person comes, they will look for loyalty. And before you know it, if he's not careful, he will just fizzle out and lose relevance. Right? You know, before now, you would have organized a little, and people will be singing, we get oh, and but now, who wants to sing? Because this is the man there. If anything happens, it will just take you out. But by and it's maybe, by and large, the whole thing is just like, it's not about tussle of power. It's about making our economy to work. It's about making Nigeria a better place. Because by and large, you just discovered that inflation is rising day in, day out. Our naira is dropping. Multinationals are leaving the country. And you know, the implication of this is that multinational has the record are one of the most employers of labor. In their 5,000, in their 10,000, both the lower level and the higher level. And once they leave the shore of the country, you discover that. And also, do we also have the political will to trade this thing? Around 2010, this should have come into play. We borrowed $460 million to fix CCTV in Abuja. All right? Until now, 14 years after, and we borrowed it for security reason, to be able to need people to be able to. Until now, nobody is all held accountable. There's no deterrent, and we are still assuming that, and we are repaying funds for an infrastructure we never enjoy. What a mismatch of finances.
It's a good thing you just mentioned governance, and some persons will say, aside godfatherism, that the Wike Fubara-led movie, as it stands, is fighting against. Some persons feel that Fubara at this point wants to start governance and take it to the full fold. That is the reason why he's doing all of this. Let's not forget, some few hours ago, that's yesterday, he did mention that there should be some level of probing from the past local government chairman. Now, do you share this school of thought that he is trying to really put his foot on the ground and get to governance real time? Because it's past almost how many months now?
You know, he also said he became governor. He started acting as governor in February. That he has not been governor at all. Forget about me sitting on the seat. And this is, you know, it does not make sense for me be ruling and somebody is dictating to me, and I'm like acting like his mouthpiece. So and before you know it, after 4 years, they won't mention Wike's name, they will mention Fubara's name, right? Yeah, take it or leave it. They are godfatherism anywhere in the world. In the corporate setting, in every setting there are. But it's just like we almost need to draw boundaries. If you actually want people to perform, right, you must draw boundaries. We also have that kind of situation that play in Lagos during the tenure of Fashola. When the current president was now overbearing then in Lagos, Fashola said, hey, let me rule. And do you know that Fashola has actually won the hearts of people in Lagos State? And Obarilua needs to call them together and say that, hey, guy, let this guy rule. Because if you allow PDP take Lagos, you lose Lagos for life. So, and the man in his wisdom, he stepped back and he allowed the man to rule, right? And the man used 8 years, right? Though there might still be his influence, but it's not overbearing.
All right, then. I think Lawal Konoye has a different view. Let's start coasting home now.
Okay, I won't talk about that Lagos one. I'm smiling my feet when he was talking about.
I noticed.
But I won't go to that side. But
why though? Why?
Why don't I want to go to that?
Why did you
because
have that facial expression? Is it that
No, because I didn't agree with him. But I don't want to. I don't want to explain.
Well, some people say
I don't agree with him that the former governor actually hands off. They get it and let Fashola rule. No, I don't agree with that. He said because what brought Ambode into power was a feud between the two of them. You get it? That was what brought.
So the former governor, which is the
president, which is still pressing the button as
still basically
still pressing the computer now.
The guy used 8 years.
Because you use 8 years. That's what you see. Because you use 8 years, doesn't that is what is going on here now. You get it? Yeah, this one wants to control it.
Say he played to the gallery during his first 4 years and only stood a resistance
a little towards the end.
There's difference between overbearing and interference.
Okay.
Right? There's difference between it. You see, if you're overbearing, that you want to be all over, you don't want me to be seen. Don't get it. You, and in the long run, I'll be blamed for it. And so a typical person also will say, hey, stop there. So it's still not that he's not having input, but it's just like Fashola draw the line.
So you're of the opinion that what is happening in River State now, drawing the line, warding off Nike is in line.
You see, in Lagos, Fashola didn't ward off Tinubu completely. Okay. You see, the Oba really want come in as a reconcilable person and reconcile the situation and say that, hey, you take this, allow him to do. Because he knows that Fashola, honestly, one of the governors that works in Lagos give it to Fashola.
Well, some would say one of the governors that actually did a lot of road construction was Ambode.
No,
but he didn't get a second term.
No, give it to Fashola. Fashola actually, one thing about Fashola would not only give you the job to do, he will monitor it.
Let's come back to River State now.
Let's go.
So you, Mr. Lawal, now you were of the opinion that you like what the people are doing in River State, saying that it is of the opinion for them to take back the democracy.
It shows that they are aware of what is going on and they are interested.
Now, don't you think it is going to get to a point where the whole issue will boomerang now that some people are calling for emergency in River State?
It will not. See, that's why I said that the presidency should remove hands off from this the state. That's what I'm saying. Hands off from this. How can a chairman of a local government, his tenure has expired? They are going to the state, the legislative house, to extend their tenure. That doesn't make sense. Second, why do they still have the orderlies? You get it? When
attached to them,
when their tenure has expired, why does the IGP still allow orderlies to follow them when the tenure? That orderly was one of those who shot into the air. You get it? With the people were not harmed. Okay. But Fubara, his own area, like I said, is still in school. He's still in school. He's still a schoolboy of politics.
Still learning.
And it's not learning very well.
Even after being the chief of staff during weekend.
I was going to say that.
He's still acting up. You know why? Because normally, you get it, you need to be very careful so that you can always score good points in that state. Scoring good points is the one that will sustain you because you want to break away from wicked that has established itself. You need the people. And because this is politics, I would have expected him to have allowed the state INEC to move into the process of conducting the election. You get it? By the time you move, you will not be, people will not be looking at you are forming
allow or compel.
Yeah, no. What I mean by allow is
because
that
is he not allowing them to do
No. If he's allowing them, they will have been invoked by now. They will have started the process. Could have called and see elections is
you're
coming.
Saying that he's the reason that they haven't started the process.
No, what I'm saying that he didn't invoke them.
He didn't compel them.
Yes, that's what I mean by invoke, because there's a law there. You have to invoke that law to them. That so state INEC, the law says so. These people's tenure will expire so time. Start the process of your election. You could have come in on air and announced few months to that time, so that everybody will focus on that state INEC, and then the process will have continued. Automatically, smoothly, you will have pushed those people out and allow the right people to come in.
Absolutely out of time. Right. Dr. Ganiu, let's get your part in short in 30 seconds.
Like I always say, we should be careful of precedents. Precedents have so much power to repeat itself. So if they allow, and it starts, like I said, that like salami tactics, you do a little thing, it goes scot-free, then you make it bigger. So if those guys were allowed to have their way, tomorrow a governor will come back and say that I want to elongate my tenure. And before you know it, a president will say that I want to elongate my tenure, then you now become an ungovernable area. So I think it's a step that should be taken in the right direction, and we should do the right way so that we don't allow bad precedents to happen, so that we don't create a monster that will be difficult for us to be able to.
All right, thank you very much. But please, the proverb that you dropped earlier, can you drop it again? Ilẹ̀ tí ò tú.
No, don't bite your tongue.
You need to apply for the lecture. Mo, you have to apply.
Let him say it now before you bite your tongue.
Apply for the lecture. Apply for the lecture after the
show.
Ó ṣòro rìn.
Ó ṣòro rìn.
Ní òru.
Apply for the after class.
Basically,
you can learn that.
Connotation or denotation. When the day doesn't it doesn't darken in your presence, it's difficult to walk in it.
The connotation is that an environment you've not been before, and you just drive in there in the night. It will be difficult for you to navigate your way.
All right, thank you very much.
It's a very difficult.
Thank you very much. I will tweet that one later. That's why I put it down. Go ahead. Let's have your parting shot in 30 seconds.
Okay, what I'm just saying is that the presidency should hands off in this.
Okay.
So that we don't have a president, like he said, we don't have something that people will now look at it as, okay, it happened somewhere else, well, it can happen here too now. And then before you know it, you now throw the whole something into. Let the state INEC, you get it, begin the process of election immediately. That's it.
All right, then, thank you very much. We've been discussing with Dr. Gani Oluwashola, Managing Partner, KJB Professional Services, and Mr. Lawal Ekundayo, who's an educationist, a public affairs commentator, and a farmer. He always likes us to add that one.
Yes.
So thank you very much for coming on the program. Well, that's it on the show. We'll take a break now. When we come back, we will have entertainment, we will have business, and then sports. So we'll be back in a bit. To a jelly shoot. Just had to say, I will take that one until I get it right. Stay with us, people. We'll be back in a bit.